Hello and welcome to this week's show. I'm Janet Lewis.
And I'm Dr. Lewis.
And we are Green Wisdom Health, home of your low-cost lab work and answers to why you may not be feeling good. Here with another exciting show about anxiety, because I know anxiety is an exciting subject. So
there's a difference between excitement and enjoyment, however.
And there's so many people full of anxiety.
Yeah, full of other things.
And it's rampant. And there are people that have no clue what to do about it, how to get rid of it. Why does it keep hanging around? Where does it come from? Oh, it's making me anxious thinking about it. So
sometimes
Dr.
you
Lewis,
have to blow the whistle and call the play dead and start something different, which I just did recently.
And he's here to tell you all about it and why we are so full of anxiety and what can we do about it, because it does seem to be all over the place now.
This reason we did this, I had another subject to do a podcast on, but we've had a lot of anxiety recently that was brought into the office, and, you know, I blew the whistle, called the plate dead, and it's like, you don't tolerate it. I call people like that crazy makers. No matter what you say, they go to the negative, and I tell them, read the book Negaholics. You're negative. You never will read it, but, you know, just quit it, and we're going to talk about it. You know, it may be because of thyroid. It may be because of adrenals. It may be because of PMS. It may be because, you're just missing neurotransmitters. It may be because you're toxic in your bowel. It can be a lot of different things. But one of the things I've seen is it's how you choose, folks, it's a choice, how you choose to think about things. If you think about what the worst case scenario is, it just gets worse and worse. If you think about what's good, great, grand, and glorious and can be healthy, happy, bright, lively, and prosperous, then anxiety goes away. So to a large degree, it's a choice. You just have to overcome all this other stuff.
I think a great book to read also is Joyce Meyer's Battlefield of the Mind, because that really does help a lot with explaining where all of this comes from and ways that you can get around thinking differently, learning to think differently and speak differently, because that has a lot to do with it too, right?
Absolutely. I think that's the most of it. I think it's a choice. Maybe you say, well, everybody in my family's that way. Well, just because they did it doesn't mean you have to do it. You can step outside the circle, and I live outside the circle, but you don't have to think that. And I've seen people that, the family was negative. I've seen some people says, I'm not going to live this way. And they choose, again, a choice to do something different. But we're going to tell you, in our opinion, at least, how it's kind of easier to break the cycle if you deal with the lack of neurotransmitters or lack of nutritious things that can calm the nerves and ease the bowels irritation.
I have found that it seems that people that have more anxiety disorder, it's got a lot to do with what they eat, correct?
That's a big part of it.
Yeah, like the food additives, food dyes.
Oh, that's been proven in ADD, ADHD. So they're agitated and anxious, even though it may not come out as anxiety. Yes, absolutely. And why do they put it in some of these stupid, cheap vitamins? Why do they put it in your drugs? Do you care if it's got a cancer-causing red lake dye? That's crazy. Why are they doing that to you? You should ask your congressman that.
Well, and that is the problem we run into here a lot with, especially like children's multivitamins and the chewable forms of the pills. People are used to going to like a big box store and buying the gummy vitamins for their kids because they taste good, and that's a way that their kid will get them down. But if you read on the back of those labels, many of them have the dyes in it, like Dr. Lewis is talking about. They look great. They taste great. Well, there's a reason why they do, and it's because of those chemicals. And it's very hard naturally to make something that tastes great without all the synthetic chemicals that go in it. So I get you guys coming from, not having a kid that'll swallow anything. We try to mix our stuff up in like applesauce or something like that makes it sweeter. We have a children's multi that tastes pretty good now. People are going, pretty good? Well, again, it's not got any kind of synthetic dyes or sweeteners or colorings to it. And I always tell people it tastes great at first and then just chase it with something and it's fine. But it's called Super Newts. And
it's been pretty popular too. And
yeah.
It is what you eat, because I just now thought of this. I had ice cream for supper last night, and I'm pretty agitated today, and I dealt with the anxiety. And I eat ice cream, out of stress, and I won't get into, that, but I'd rather have ice cream than alcohol. But it is what you eat, and it's what you put in your body. And again, it's a choice, and you've got to make a good choice. I won't do it tonight, I promise. Some of the things that are missing, I'm going to get into the different neurotransmitters. Usually it's calcium and magnesium. Now, I'm not a huge fan of just calcium by itself, but calcium, if it's in a form that you can tolerate, is a natural tranquilizer. And, people say, well, I want this coral calcium. Well, that's calcium carbonate, and it's not water soluble, or else the oyster shells would dissolve in the water. That is not a good form. It's one of the most expensive farces they've ever put on you. And there's other better forms of calcium. And then you've got magnesium. Well, it depends on what you need versus how many bowel movements per day you have. Sometimes you need iron. Some people have too much or too little. Most people do not have enough B12, even if they've got good digestion, because it's overutilized trying to detoxify your body. And if you're taking any kind of drugs, over the counter or prescribed, you're already nutrient deficient, or you wouldn't have the problem most likely, and then you're putting in drugs that are depleting the nutrients even more. So you really have to go way beyond the RDA. And B1, brain fog. It's the candida in your gut that's using that thiamine, and I get some incredible results with these lipid soluble B1. You can use SAM-E. Janet loves it when I take it. She says that I'm a better person when I take it. She's giving me...
I don't know what he's talking about. He's great all the time.
Yeah, well, it'll be set out tonight, I'm sure. B complex, B6, I preferred the activated form, P5P. Vitamin C, and vitamin C doesn't get a lot of press anymore because it's an old vitamin. We knew about it 30, 40, 50 years ago. We like the liposomal because it's I think it's 92 to 94% absorbable versus the 12 to 13% of the other vitamin C's. Believe it or not, vitamin E can do it, although it helps oxygen utilization to the brain. And zinc, everybody's zinc deficient, and I give a lot of zinc to people, but I think it's best if you kind of buffer it with our reacted multi-min minerals. You don't want to just do one unless it's very super obvious. So if you want, I'll talk a little bit about panic attacks, anxiety disorders, and stress, and some of that's how you choose to react to stress.
Yeah, are panic attacks and anxiety issues the same thing, or are they different?
I think they're pretty close. It's hard to differentiate between the two. Some people might argue that point a little bit. Everybody's got an opinion, and sometimes they vary quite a bit. Many times it's the neurotransmitters, and one thing you don't hear a lot of is norepinephrine. That's actually secreted by the brain itself, and it increases the level of wakefulness, and most people that are obese have very, very low norepinephrine. And so people say, but I eat nothing and I still gain weight. Well, you could have a neurotransmitter problem, and you kind of have to let us work on it and be patient, because we're finding more people when we do their labs, cheap labs, you need to get it here, and we're finding things, well, this and this and this probably relate to the inability of your hypothalamus and or pituitary putting out the right signals. I see more of evidence of that every day. And the people that stick with it, of course, they get more and better results. You got dopamine. Well, let me be more specific, I guess. Norepinephrine deficiency. Usually those are the people that feel hungry through the day. They have an insatiable appetite, eat large meals, don't know when to stop eating, never feel full or satisfied, can eat almost anything inside, feel out of control, especially with your appetite. Think about food all the time. And I have people say, but I just dream about food. If you're craving the breads and pastas, the starches, rather than sweets, I'm more of the sweet craver. ADD, ADHD, hungry in the late afternoon, and it just goes on and on and on and on. So that's norepinephrine. If it's a serotonin deficiency, and that's the one I think is most common, even though other sources say it's the second most common. Those are the people that crave sweets or starches in the afternoon and evening. That's the people that go home under stress and eat Bluebell. Crave chocolate. Janet always teases that I'm the female in the relationship because I'm the one that'll eat the chocolate. She will not, and I love it. Is it irresistible? Yeah, I don't know. I've never tried to resist it. Do you eat when you're stressed, anxious, lonely, or depressed? Anger, because you've experienced something that's distressing, and that can be surgery, some kind of long-term trauma, the death of a loved one. And the answer to that is, yeah, you probably have a serotonin deficiency. Do you eat when you're not hungry? Me, not so much. But when you binge on foods or eat massive quantities, yep, that's true of ice cream. Do you wake up in the middle of the night to eat? No, that's not what I'm doing in the middle of the night, but okay. Are you depressed, irritable, frustrated, or moody? Sometimes I get irritated. Men get what we would call PMS. Janet's got a really funny look, like, yep, he's really telling the truth. It's like, I'm very polite when everybody around me have this also. It's not just me. Do you have trouble falling asleep once you're awake? And I hear that from so many people. We do have a time-released serotonin or time-released 5-HTP to create serotonin. Dopamine. These people that have a low dopamine are really interesting. I love them. They're usually the addicts. Sex addicts, gambling addicts, alcoholics, drug addicts. They usually crave the salty foods or fatty foods. They'd rather eat steak and bologna and bacon, meat lovers pizza, so to speak. If you feel depressed, then do you lack an interest in life? And I hear that. They say, well, I just don't care. The opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is I don't care. So when people say they have no interest in life and they don't care, you need to worry about them and see if you can help them. Difficult getting motivated. Well, I'm going to skip talking about millennials that don't want to drive for some strange reason. These are the ones that, as I said before, they're addicted on alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, sex, gambling, or sometimes food. And that kind of runs in families too. Decreased sex drive, tired. Well, that could be any of them. So, the best thing to do is find somebody that you trust and follow their advice. And one of the biggest problems I've ever seen is people think they have to understand, and that gets you in trouble. And it's like, I said this to Janet yesterday. Well, geez, I don't understand how the transmission on my truck works. I don't understand how the engine works. But I know when to push a button, it goes, and put it in gear. We don't need to understand. We have to have a little faith, have a little trust. So that's why I tell you, find somebody you really trust, follow their directions, use your discerning spirit. Your spirit will tell you if it's good or bad, even if you're in the middle of anxiety. So, that's kind of the short course on that.
Well, I think we are to talk about a few products that might help people if they have those things. Because I heard you mention a few things that could have related to me.
Because she's married to it today. I'll be better. I'm already better. Never mind.
But there are actually products that we have that'll help you through anxiety type issues. A couple of girls that are close to us have anxiety pretty bad. And one of them actually says now that her anxiety is almost completely gone. And it's just been from, taking some of the supplements, some of the right supplements, because she did the lab work and she didn't guess at what was wrong. Having a bad thyroid can create anxiety. We always tell people, do our comprehensive panel. It's 12 different panels of lab. Having cortisol that's too high can create anxiety. You just really don't know where it's coming from unless you run the lab. It could be from a toxic liver. It can be from a lack of iron, actually. You can actually be anemic and have anxious thoughts and think you have anxiety, which you do, but you may just need iron. But don't guess. And, we're able to run lab all across the United States. It isn't like you need to live here locally. Basically, you would fill out a health survey on greenwisdomhealth.com, and from there, Dr. Lewis calls you and helps you figure out which lab panel is the right lab panel for you. And like I said, we have you draw it close to your home. All the results come back to us. We do everything via email and over the phone, and people that want to see what he looks like, we use Zoom video so he can actually talk to you. And there's no need to feel that way, because when you have anxiety, you don't really know where to go, what to do. I know a young girl that just lost it in the middle of Target and just sat her stuff all down, all of her groceries, and just started bawling because she was so filled with anxiety. There's no need to live like that. There's actually answers for it. And if you could get on some products and get the right lab and know what's wrong with you, you can start feeling better. But some of the basic products that you can use that you don't even need lab for, which we're pretty excited about now. We have a Hemp Oil Plus is what it's called. And you're going, oh my God, y'all are selling illegal drugs down there. Well, no, this one is actually not. This one's from the stalk of, from the purest hemp stalk oil possible. It's certified organic. And it's legal in all 50 states.
So being organic means you're not getting the pesticides that can cause a lot of the problems in the first place.
And literally, we've been waiting on a company that would bring us something that we knew we could trust to sell. There's been so many people that have said, hey, why don't you carry hemp oil in your clinic or CBD oil? And I'm like, no, not until I get it from a source that I know.
And I've tried 5 different companies, and this is I've only seen 2 that work.
Right.
Okay.
So
there's a lot of fake companies.
We've waited, and it was literally on back order for like 6 months, and it just came back in again. And it's from a reputable company that we trust called Thorne. You guys that have shopped with us now know some of the products from Thorne that we carry, like their PeptiGuard and Coleast and things like that. But their new one now is called Hemp Oil Plus. And like I said, it is all organic, and it's coming from the stalk, which is not common for them to make it from. So the thing with that is like you're going, well, is it going to cause me to fail a drug test? Well, because of where it's coming from, the answer to that is a very low no. It should not do that, because you're getting
you're not getting
minimal.
Any THC.
Correct. So there's nothing that should show up on a drug test. But what it does do is it helps a whole lot with regulating the body's response to stress and fear. It actually helps with GI distress, which is a lot of where anxiety comes from, and physical discomfort. People that are in pain and have a hard time moving around, that it really does help with that as well. And then they have also put some other ingredients in it as well to help the hemp work better, like clove extract is in it, black pepper, hops, and rosemary. So that's the plus side of it. So it's called Hemp Oil Plus. Like I said, we're really excited to finally have a product that we can back and sell to people, knowing we feel good about that. Other things that are great for anxiety, GABA, which you've probably heard of. We have one here that is great for kids, and it tastes great.
Yeah, it actually does.
It's called Pharma-GABA, and it's a PHARMA, and they can suck on it, and it actually helps with ADD, ADHD, anxiety type things.
We have a lot of kids on it with good reports coming back from their parents and teachers.
Or people that can't swallow well, they like the ones they can suck on. For adults, we kind of tell them just go with the straight GABA, because it's
and it's stronger.
It's stronger. And then Dr. Lewis's personal favorite that he puts all kind of people on is something that's called Neurolink. And why do you like that one?
Well, because it has that activated B6 that I talked about, the P5P, and it has tyrosine, which is really, really good for helping your body, your brain make neurotransmitters. But it also helps with the thyroid, because sometimes if your thyroid's not functioning correctly, it can cause anxiety and panic attacks. Then it has the GABA, which is a pretty big amount. Glutamine, which, your brain actually puts out glutamate. That's one of the things the body uses, and uses a lot of glycine too. Amino acids. It has inositol, taurine. Taurine's really good for the brain, but it also helps your body detoxify, and it's really good for brain fog too. Then it has 5-HTP. It's really good. It says 6 capsules a day, and I only know 2 people that have to take 6. Most people take 3 with really, really good results. And it's a bottle full of, it's got 180 in it, so it could last a long time. I've never taken it, but Janet will give me the 5-HTP. Once in a while I'll take GABA. And the hemp oil does work real well, and I take it because of my irritated, agitated GI tract, because I have some diverticulitis, and it does help calm down the GI tract. And the reason why that's important is because 95% of your serotonin is in your GI tract. It's not really in your brain. So you have to have good gut health and stop all that dysfunction. And that's what the P5P, activated B6, is for. So it'll cross the blood-brain barrier. So we're careful to give you the nutrients that really will work and help your body work without having to expend more energy to change the forms.
Right. Your job is just to take it and let everybody else tell you how much more wonderful you are when you're on it.
And smile.
Because we hear that a whole lot. Other things that have got to do with anxiety or having bad anxiety is a lack of magnesium, believe it or not. I always tell people, because they always go, well, your stuff's so expensive. Well, it's not expensive. It's different than what they've experienced in a store, because our stuff is stronger.
Hey, we've been to places that people think are the bastions of, organic, and they're not. And we see their vitamins, and it's like our stuff usually is actually less expensive. But if you compare milligrams to milligrams, ours is way less expensive. It's just high quality. So don't let your perception be fooled.
Exactly. And magnesium is one of the least expensive things you can do. I think a bottle of it here is like $17 or something. And
that's the good absorbable type. It's not magnesium oxide, which most people try to sell you.
And it's not the stuff that gives you diarrhea. It's reacted magnesium. It has different forms of it, so you can take as much as you need. Magnesium actually does over 300 functions in the body. So if you're going to just get like one thing, you really need to add in magnesium. Vitamin D being low actually creates anxiety. Did you know that? Well, Dr. Lewis knows everything, so I'm sure you did.
Yeah, well, I did a couple of podcasts yesterday as a guest, and one of them says, well, I'm taking 1,000 IUs of vitamin D a day. I said, well, that's a really good thing, but it takes 8,000 for the average person to get it up where it should be. And then I said on a previous podcast that 1,000 units a day will normally lower your chance of flu 70%, and 2,000 units a day will normally lower your chances of flu close to 100%. That's just 2,000 IUs. And then we got a question we'll get to in a minute. I was on another podcast about Lyme's disease, so we'll get to that.
But low vitamin D levels also can trigger seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah, one of those guys says, well, isn't it just natural? Your natural depression. I said, I don't think depression's natural, but, you can accept that. And again, he's speaking it into existence, so it's true for him. But no, depression and or anxiety, they're not natural.
It's linked to a sunshine deficiency, which does depress you. So take more vitamin D. Also, omega-3 fats, like the fish oils, which we always use Ortho-Omega because of the high EPA and DHA in it, which is what you need to improve your emotional health.
And the high absorbability.
And a study proved that medical students who took omega-3s lowered their anxiety by 20%. So see there, it's not all in your head. There are things you can do to help the gut. And Yes, Dr. Lewis wants to make sure that we answer this question because we have people on our Shooting Straight with Dr. Lewis. If you're not familiar with that group, it's on Facebook.
Sign up. We'll shoot straight.
And it is a closed group, but you can ask to be a member and you can learn all kind of information on here. Today's question comes from Kay, and she wants to know about migratory pain and inflammation from Lyme.
And again, I was a guest on a podcast about Lyme's disease. He said it's going to air somewhere around Thanksgiving. I'm a guest on a lot of podcasts. I don't really know why, but I think we're doing 3 or 4 this week as a guest. So, I guess there's a reason for that. On Lyme's disease, you have to go on a low allergen diet, and there's a lot of different things you can be allergic to. We do have some weird tests that'll determine that. We have weird tests that'll determine your neurotransmitter deficiencies too. You can go on a stealth pathogen protocol, so we can make them little things come out and hit them hard and then quit doing it, and then they'll come back out. You can do a purification program. You have to do a leaky gut protocol so that your body will stop absorbing some of the toxins associated with Lyme's disease and all the weird little spirochetes that cause that. You kind of have to add joint and cognitive nutrients also. You pretty much have to go in a lifetime of immune system support, for maintenance, and we can do that. It's just absolutely imperative, or it's quicker, easier, less expensive just to do the lab rather than guess.
The big one for Lyme that we have really had a lot of success with is loracetin.
Yeah, and that guy knew about loracetin, and I told him we can do colloidal silver, and he thought I was crazy because I don't like using colloidal silver unless there's a last resort. We use a lot of olive leaf and berberine and pau d'arco and artemisia, black walnut, and on and on and on, but there's some things that will definitely help. And as far as the migratory pain syndrome, it may be from the toxins from the Lyme disease. It very well could be, but as a chiropractor, when people come in, they say, well, I have this paresthesia here and here and here, and it's like, okay, well, it does not correlate with the structure function aspect of chiropractic, and that's when I would hit them with the right amount, hopefully, in most cases, the right amount of the right supplements. And, one of the things, and this is just, you can look this research up, there are so many toxins that you have to deal with, and dealing with it means you have to take the supplemental things that'll help your body. For example, just benzene. Now, benzene's known to cause leukemia, and our exposure to it is not just the carpets, and it outgasses out of the carpets like crazy, but you get a big dose of benzene every time you fuel your car up. And then you got styrene that comes out of the carpet, but how many of you are drinking out of styrofoam cups? And how many of you microwave something in a styrofoam food tray? You're asking for cancer, but it's been proven over and over and over again. It'll cause neurotoxic symptoms, and that goes into the migratory pain that you're asking about, which is numbness and tingling, loss of sensation, very bizarre pain syndromes. Brain fog, encephalopathy, mood swings, and memory loss. And that's why it takes time for us to do our job, because it takes your body time to detoxify this stuff. And it can be paralysis, convulsions, tremors, blurred visions. I've seen people that had Parkinson's symptoms. Their tremors would get better and better and better, especially the guys that went through Vietnam and were exposed to Agent Orange. But, you want to consider that it may be the toxins from the Lyme's disease, or it can be toxins that were already there, and now you're overly burdened. And just to prove the point, carpet workers, for example, have increased rates of cancers and especially leukemias, and that research is by Anderson, so you can Google that and look it up.
So do those people that spray like for pests. When they come around and do, all those people are always sick, and they have some sort of leukemia or cancers also.
Or early onset dementia. We've seen that a lot.
Yeah, because of all the chemicals that are in them.
And it's not like everybody doesn't get exposed to those things, but people that are more exposed to it, for example, welders, they get a lot of manganese and in the wrong form. Nail techs and hairdressers, and people that are exposed to chemicals more than the average person. And, just hair dye is known to cause bladder cancer.
And none of us women use hair dye, so I don't think that's an issue for any of us.
No, Janet never has.
No.
God's going to get me for lying.
And looks like we've come to the end of our show. He's getting personal now. So hopefully we have helped your anxiety lessen a little bit with this show and given you hope to have a healthy, happy, prosperous life, since that's what we're all here for. So we appreciate you joining us, and we'll be back next week with another fascinating show. Have a blessed week.